Welcome back to the internet. Wow, a video 2 days in a row. We haven't had that for a while. We do have a lot of stories, but I would recommend sticking around till the question, because that's where the funniest stories are today. So let's make our way there. Mischievous compliance. A few years ago, we had a pretty big project at work. The project manager who was overseeing this was pretty much the kind of person you'd want to be working under. He kept a close eye on the project, and if we fell behind, then he'd put pressure on us. If we were ahead of schedule, then he'd ease up a bit and let us relax a little bit more. During a period when we were ahead of schedule and had a bit more breathing room, he had to leave the office for a day and left us with the instructions to keep him updated about everything that happens. And so we did. We let him know when we were taking bathroom breaks. We sent him pictures of our lunch. We let him know about non-work related conversations we had, everything we could think of. When he finally checked his messages, he had a good laugh and then amended this instruction to keep him updated about everything important that happens. See, it's mostly just fun to do this kind of thing when you are dealing with a really obnoxious boss who micromanages everything, but at least he has a good sense of humor. Matches, they work more than once, right? So back in the 70s and 80s, I worked in a smaller office with some close friends and family. We had a kitchen, a couple bathrooms, and 2 large outdoor areas where the smokers would take their breaks. One guy would light up his cigarette at his desk, finish his call, and then head outside, leaving a trail of smoke as he passed by my desk. I didn't care if he smoked, but not in the office, and especially not near my desk. Well, one Monday, I went into the work with a nasty head cold, and his cigarette smoke bothered me even more. I asked him about a dozen times before lunch to please wait until he was outside to light up. He always said he would, but conveniently forgot every time. Back then, when you got a pack of cigarettes, the clerk gave you a book of matches. This guy lit his smokes with matches. He usually bent his stick backwards and stuck it with his thumb, one-handed, while waiting with his other hand. He did this without looking at the matches. This is how I got my revenge. When he went out to get his lunch, I went to his desk and lit every match at his desk, and then blew them out. He comes back from the store and eats his lunch. He picks up the phone and makes a call. As his call was winding down, he puts a cigarette in his mouth and gets a book of matches and tries to light it. Nothing. He tries again. Nothing. He tries one last time with that book and still nothing. He's frustrated and gets off the phone. He gets another book of matches and is now using both hands trying to strike a match to light up. He can't. Note, he should be outside now. He tries 3 or 4 times and can't get a match to fire up. I ask him if there's a problem. He says, "Yeah, these gosh darn mother effing worthless piece of freaking crap matches don't work." He says this as he's walking outside to ask someone to borrow a lighter. As he passes my desk, I say, "That's funny, they worked a minute ago." He gets a couple steps outside before what I said sinks in. He comes back inside and stands in front of my desk and opens the book of matches. He sees they're all black and burnt. He starts to curse me out, but stops. He smiles, realizes why I did that. He just nods and goes outside. He started leaving his matches outside at the table. That way he'd have to be outside to go light up. You know, I'm honestly pretty surprised that you remember this many details about a petty little story that happened 30 or 40 years ago. But man, I feel like if anyone tried lighting their cigarette on their way out of a building, they would set off all of the alarms. Entitled family steals from us and makes the mistake of trying to blame us. They get in a lot of crap. So I was 6 when this happened, and I was pretty good friends with the daughter of the entitled parents at that time. The daughter was pretty entitled as well. I had 6 dolls and a box I kept them in that I was pretty attached to. I had gotten them over the span of 2.5 years. The entitled kid played at our house quite a lot, so I didn't expect this to happen at all. On to the story. It was summer, and I asked my parents if the entitled kid could come over, and they said yes. A few minutes later, the entitled mom and entitled kid arrived. The entitled mom started chatting with my parents, and the entitled kid and me went to play in the backyard. I proudly opened my box of dolls, and the entitled kid and I both took some dolls and played pretend. Skip to when she had to leave. This is what I remember the conversation being like. She says, "Can I keep this doll? I really like it." I say, "No, sorry, I don't want to give any of them to others." She says, "But you have so many more. One doll won't make a difference." I say, "Please give my doll back." She screams, "Mom!" Her mom comes running, looks at us, and turns to me. Says, "What did you do to my sweetie?" Then she says, "I want all these dolls. Tell her they're mine now." I says, "Okay, sweetie. Alright, these dolls are hers now. Give them to me." I say, "No, they're mine. Give them back." She says, "Shut it, brat. Give me those freaking dolls." I froze. I got scared and started crying. My parents heard this and walked to us. They see the entitled kid and me, both crying. My mom says, "What's going on here?" The entitled mom says, "Your idiot kid hit my baby." Says, "What? I highly doubt that. My kid doesn't hit other children unless she has a reason. Why don't we ask both of them what happened?" The kid says, "She said I could have all her dolls, but now she's saying I can't have them." The mom says, "If my angel wants them, she gets them." I say, I never said you could have them. You wanted to take them without permission. Then she loses it to me. Says, shut your mouth, you ungrateful beep. I started bawling. I can't handle yelling or angry people well, and the automatic reflex is to start crying. Both my parents are angry and are talking to the entitled mom on how she can't just make me cry and act like it's not her fault. Meanwhile, the entitled kid has put all the dolls back in the box, but she didn't leave them. She took the box, with all of the dolls, and runs away. The entitled mom runs after her. My parents ran after them, but they were already inside their home. They lived on our street, and we knew where they lived. So my dad goes to ring their doorbell, and the entitled dad opens the door and says, yes? He says, give those dolls back. They're my daughter's dolls. The guy says, what? Dolls? I have no idea what you're talking about. He freaking smirks and then slams the door in my dad's face. So my dad, who's fuming, comes back home. He calls the police. Not soon after, the police are asking my parents what happened. A police officer walks towards me and kneels down. He says, can you tell me what happened, little one? I say, my best friend stole my dolls and her mom yelled at me for not wanting to give them to her. Then they ran away with my dolls. He says, thank you, little one. We'll get your dolls back, okay? I nodded. After asking us what they wanted to know, the police went to the entitled home. They ring the doorbell and the entitled mom opens the door. Seeing the police, with my parents behind them, she begins yelling at my mom. She says, oh my gosh, not again. How many times must I tell you? You're not getting my angel's toys. The police says, we were told your child and you stole a box of dolls from these people. Says, that's not true. They're my daughter's dolls. We bought them last week. Their daughter wants the dolls all for herself, and her parents have been trying to get them from us the whole week. Says, may I see the receipts then? If you really bought them, you should have a receipt. Her face loses all color. Says, well, we lost the receipt. So, well, we can't show you. The police officers looked at each other, clearly not believing it. My mom grins and taps one of the officers on the shoulder. Says, the dolls haven't been bought all at once. We have all the separate receipts for them though. If you look at the dolls and the receipts, you should have enough proof that the dolls are ours. The police accept this offer. The entitled mom was forced to give the dolls that instant, and of course, the receipts show the truth. The entitled mom looked furious. The entitled kid was crying as she saw her newly obtained toys disappear. The entitled dad sees all this and tries to blackmail my dad. Says, why do they get to keep those toys? That man has stolen multiple things in the past. Those receipts must be stolen or forged. The police looks from the entitled dad to my dad. Says, that is completely irrelevant right now, but if you want a separate case, we can check all of your records. The entitled mom turns pale after hearing this, and she tries to shush her husband, but he has already yelled, do that. My parents came home to me, and I think about a week passes. After that week of peace, we hear police sirens. I, curious as I am, run to the front door and open it. I saw both the entitled mom and the entitled dad being cuffed, and the entitled kid was taken by what turned out to be child support. Apparently those two had done a lot of bad stuff. The entitled mom had apparently committed theft 3 times and had been arrested before due to abusing about 4 freaking animals and 2 children. The entitled dad had committed all kinds of fraud, and apparently he had all kinds of unpaid fines. I never saw any of them ever again. Wow, all that hassle over a couple toys. You know, if these were smart criminals, they would just cut their losses this one time and say, okay, we tried stealing, it didn't work out this time, let's just try again another time. But as we've learned after so many stories, most entitled parents are not too bright. Well, like I said, we got some pretty great stories from the question today, which is, what's the worst offense you've seen someone make in a court? The judge says, why are you late? The defendant says, my mama didn't wake me up. How old are you? 42. Hey, you're never too old to be a loser who ends up in court. A guy was in court for a DUI, and he insisted on taking the stand when his lawyer advised him not to. Turned out he wanted the judge to know the cop who arrested him was just some rude kid trying to be a big shot, and he wasn't even drunk. He'd only had 2 bottles of wine with dinner. His lawyer interrupted him, trying to get him to stop talking, and he told his lawyer to shut up. Then the judge advised him to listen to his lawyer, and he told the judge, I'm not a child, don't interrupt me. And the judge just smiled, and sat back and said, please, proceed. We all knew it was over for this guy. He got maxed on the charge, and advised in the future if he was going to pay for a lawyer, he should listen to him. Nah, hire the lawyer just for a formality, do all the talking yourself. It's much better that way. We had a guy in court when I worked in CPS who beat his kid with a belt. In court, he asked the judge if he could take off his belt to demonstrate how hard he hit his kid by using his jacket on the back of a chair. The judge was like, whatevs, go for it. I was expecting him to half-ass it, but the guy wailed on the chair until the bailiff told him, that's enough. The entire courtroom was like, holy crap, dude. And that's how I got quite possibly the easiest child removal to date. Not that I had any thought I'd lose the case. The pictures were horrific, and the kid will have scars from that beating for life. Maybe he's using the defense like, You think this is bad? My dad beat me twice as hard. I took a guy to a small claims court. His defense was, I didn't have the product, so I couldn't ship it to him, obviously. The judge was like, but you took his money? Yeah, so I could buy the product and ship it to him. The judge says, did you do that? Says, not yet. Says, do you have his money? Says, no, I had an emergency and had to spend it. That was that. I won. Look, if you're gonna try making a living off of scamming people, you should probably at least try to not be an idiot first. I saw this go down while waiting for my traffic ticket. The judge says, so you were seen pulling a stop sign out of the ground and throwing it in the river. He says, yes, sir. He says, were you drunk? No, sir. The ticket says you were intoxicated. No, sir. Okay, let's say I believe you. I will throw out this drunken disorderly charge. He says, thank you, sir. He says, but I will have to charge you with the destruction of government property and endangering the public. That comes with at least a year in jail. So I'll ask one more time. Were you drunk? He says, yes, sir. Very drunk, sir. It seems like there's a lot of people that are just like, well, I was drunk, but I'm not sure if saying I was drunk or saying that I wasn't drunk will get me a worse punishment. My sister told the judge that the light wasn't that red. Then he said he was going to suspend her license, and she said, but my dad already took it away. Well, I guess it's double suspended now. Hopefully those lights look a little redder for you next time. I defended a guy on a DUI that jumped in the back seat after he got pulled over, and claimed someone else was driving. He was the only one in the car. Man, I'm starting to think being a judge just sounds so fun in situations like this. Like, forget Law and Order, forget Judge Judy and all those, like, TV series crap. We need a show that's all just about, like, the dumbest people in court. It says here you were drinking and driving. No, sir, I drank, then I drove. See, you did them out of order. It only works when you do it the other way. A domestic abuse case. The husband was the accused. The couple was in their late 70s or early 80s. When asked if he did abuse his wife, the husband started complaining that some 40 years ago, the wife pretended to be ill, and he had to do the laundry all by himself, as if he expected the judge to just go, oh, okay, I guess that's cool then. Man, if the worst that you could come up with was that she made you do laundry 40 years ago, you must have a pretty nice wife. I was in traffic court, and the first guy to go before the judge got pulled over for doing some crazy speed, like 140 miles an hour. The judge essentially told the guy to say he wouldn't ever do it again, and that it was a mistake. And in return, the judge would drop the ticket fee and the points on his record. The guy countered with, well, I drive that fast all the time, so I'm really good at it, and I don't think it was dangerous at all because of how good of a driver I am. The guy could have walked out totally free, but instead got a $2,500 fine and 2 points on his record. You know, it kind of seems like there's almost never any incentive for criminals to tell the truth. It's no wonder they normally just lie about everything they possibly can. I watched a friend try a DWI case. Her client testified that she wasn't drunk while driving, and therefore not guilty, because she was actually high on meth at the time. My friend put her head down and started hitting her head against the desk. Guilty. Well, that was fun. Thanks for joining us on World's Dumbest Criminals tonight. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll see you guys next time.